5, 6, 7, 8.
All right. Well, welcome to another edition of Tea with Dave. And today we have a very special guest, JT Morris from Orpheus Musical Theater Society. And he's the general manager joining us for a very exciting chat about, Ottawa and even Canadian theater. Welcome, JT.
Thank you so much, David. Really happy to be here. Appreciate you taking the time for us during all this craziness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear that you have a warm beverage of some type. I made a Lady Grey tea, but what you got there?
I actually went for coffee. I hope that's okay. My tea time is usually not till 1 a.m. So
perfect. No worries at all. No worries at all. So for anybody who is not familiar with Orpheus Theatre, can you give us a quick rundown of what you guys do and some of your highlights?
Sure, absolutely. And great question, because Orpheus is actually Canada's longest running community musical theater organization. And yet there's so many people in Ottawa that don't know anything about it. So we are a musical theater company. We are a community musical theater company, but we're not the community that you expect, right? A lot of people hear community theater and think church basement or high school auditorium productions, which there's nothing wrong with. But we produce 4 shows a year, 1 studio show at the Gladstone Theatre and 3 main stage productions at Meridian Theatres at Centrepoint. We strive to be Ottawa's premier musical theatre organization, and we've had a host of alumni come through here. I mean, Peter Jennings was a member of Orpheus, Alanis Morissette was a member of Orpheus, and we continue to have our members learn the skills of musical theater here and go off into the world and practice it. One of our recent alumni is Jeremy Sanders, who started here as a 15-year-old shy kid and has just wrapped up an international tour of We Will Rock You. So I guess I should also state that since Orpheus did start as an opportunity for education and music teaching, we still remain committed to that. So we host a lot of workshops here with industry experts because there's a lot of great Ottawa artists that just don't have the means to go out and get the education they need. So we like to bring that here to them. We offer our space as a rehearsal venue for all the smaller companies that are struggling to make ends meet with their great productions. So we like to be a volunteer-driven organization doing our 4 shows, but we're also pretty conscious of all the efforts we can put in to educate and really build up a good base of artists here.
That's huge. And I guess, from us to you guys, thanks for continuing to engage volunteers and developing local artists and musicians. That sounds fantastic. You had a show in March called Rock of Ages, and you were performing at Meridian Theatres at Centrepoint, which is our theater. And right in the middle of the production, the city shut all of the city facilities, including the theater. So that must have had an impact to actually end your run right in between all your performances.
It just happened at that time in March when all the new information surrounding COVID was coming out on a daily basis. So we didn't really know if the show was going to last to the end. Of course, we were hoping, but then the call happened and we had to shut down. It was unfortunate because it was pretty much at the tail end. I believe there were 4 performances left, and they were those last weekend performances, which really brings in the most revenue for us. And not to mention that the cast and crew are all volunteers here at Orpheus, and they had been working so hard for 3 months on this production, and it got pulled away from them. It, again, was the right call. The health and safety of all of our volunteers and patrons are the utmost concern. But yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and it did mean a big loss of revenue. And it affects the organization and theater community as a whole for quite some time.
It's tough. It's tough for us as well. We're really sad to have missed that end run. And we're always really happy to have you at our theater. I actually was involved in a little bit of theater when I was, back in high school, and there's a saying that says, the show must go on. So I'm assuming there's probably been all sorts of things that happened through the years with the theater company, but could you mention maybe one interesting tidbit, maybe your most memorable backstage story that maybe people aren't necessarily familiar with?
Yeah, okay. So there's a lot. I'm going to focus on one because it's let's say I was directly involved with it. This was before I was in this position, obviously, because I've been a volunteer myself here for about 16 years, and I've done a few shows with them. And we put on the Full Monty, which is a musical adaptation of the British movie, obviously about a bunch of men looking to make money and decide to become strippers, right? So one of the biggest, best moments of musical theater is the end of the Full Monty, where we do the Full Monty. But there's a bit of a trick to it, right? We actually get naked, but nobody has to see it because there's a huge backdrop of lights that happen right at the moment, and we all go into silhouette and nobody can see, except for this one day. When, one of our fellow Monty actors, I'm not going to say his name because he's actually a media personality in Ottawa who everybody knows, but he accidentally dropped the hat that was placed correctly where it should have been to cover up ourselves. And the poor guy goes to reach for it, and the stage manager rightfully calls those lights. But then we think, oh, great, let's move the hat. So we move the hat because the lights are on, and then the lights go out, and there are 6 men standing naked in front of 1,000 people. It was, we just had to laugh it off and become a lot more comfortable with ourselves much faster.
Yeah, that's fair. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's a great story. You guys are volunteer driven, and you've helped train a lot of different musical talent and theater talent. And so, what are some of the other impacts that you guys have had in the community that you've noticed that you could share with our audience?
As the bigger community theater company, we have been relatively comfortable, and we have a substantial base, and we have a really large patron base who are generous supporters of the arts and communities as well. So we launched Orpheus Cares, which is a program where we solicit donations from audience members to other local charities. We've raised for Make-A-Wish, we've raised for the Caldwell Family Center, the CNIB, Orchestra, which is a great organization as well. So from that program alone, we've actually raised over $40,000 in the last few years that we've given out to other local charities. And we're pretty proud of that. And we've noticed that whenever our shows are doing that, our volunteers become a lot more engaged and take a greater sense of responsibility in their craft of theater, because they know that the power of it can really induce emotion and feeling and bring out those pocketbooks for other people that need it just a bit more than us.
Thank you very much for all that you do, and supporting volunteers and local organizations. So that was JT Morris, General Manager for Orpheus Musical Theater Society. And I'd also like to mention that we will put some links in the description of this video. So if you'd like to support Orpheus, and if you'd like to learn more about Orpheus, that's a good opportunity to do so. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate you taking the time to not only highlight us, but to stay in touch with all those other great organizations in Ottawa through this series. I think the City of Ottawa is doing a really great job right now, and we need your help, so we appreciate you staying connected with us and getting the word out.
To be honest, we can't wait to have you back at Meridian Theaters at Centerpoint as soon as possible, as soon as we are able to. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye for now.